Had lots of requests to do more to show people how to grow mushrooms on the cheap. So I'm starting out with just a blister pack. I bought some pastries at Safeway's about a week ago, and so the first thing we're going to do is I've sterilized this by basically pasteurized it by rinsing it out with really hot water, so we have a clean container, and you want to start with a clean workspace. Alright, just like in the previous video, I've cut pieces of corrugated cardboard to length and to fit in the container, and then I'm running hot water over it, and I'll let it soak for about 15 minutes so that it will separate, and yeah, mainly so it'll separate. And I'm using hot water, which pasteurizes it. I've had a lot of questions about don't you have problems with contamination? Yes, you can. However, most of the things that cause contamination in mycological growing prefer grain. They don't really like to grow on cardboard. So this pasteurization seems to take care of about 99% of the contamination, which means water temperatures of about 160, which this isn't really. This is probably only 135 is I think what I keep my water heater at, so it's not really all that hot, but it's hot enough apparently to do the job. When you're at the grocery store looking for a good oyster mushroom, you want to find one like this that's already myceliating. See, all this white stuff is mycelium starting to grow out of the mushroom. This is the kind you want to start with. Alright, once the cardboard has soaked enough to separate and you've drained it, you want it at field capacity, not field saturation. And field capacity basically is, this is probably a little bit too wet, but I'm not going to worry about it. Field capacity is holding water so that it's soaked, but it's not dripping and you don't get water off of it. I'm still getting water off of this, but I'm not going to worry about it. And so you separate the corrugate from the non-corrugate, and I like to put all the non-corrugate on the bottom just as kind of a moisture sink. And then you take the mushroom that I showed you that I got at the store, which, as you can see, if you look closely, you can see there's mycelium already growing on it. And I like to cut a piece off first so that we're kind of getting a clean inside. This is actually a relatively sterile area, and if you've sterilized your knife, then this is essentially sterile material in here. And you just cut a couple bits of this, whoops, a few small pieces, and put them in the cardboard. Like that. Put more corrugate on top. I like to do multiple layers. Let's see. I'll pull this apart a little bit. Oh, look at the mycelium growing in there. So this has already got mycelium growing on it. So you know that this is going to run like crazy. This oyster mushroom is already trying to get mycelium to run just from being harvested and kept in. And if you look closely there, you can see there's mycelium growing all over it. You know, it's been kept in a relatively high humidity environment while it was shipped to the store, and that encouraged the mycelium to run. There's some more. And so I know that this is going to run very quickly. Yeah, we'll put this on top. A little bit more. As you can see, quite a bit more water has drained off. I don't want that to stay in here. Too much moisture is as much of a problem as not enough. And this container probably will not stay all that airtight. In the previous video I said burp it. Don't burp it. Alright, apparently I'm having battery issues with my camera, and it cut off in the middle of an addendum I did. Basically, I cut some of the corrugate into strips and put it in here, so that when the mycelium has run through this, it'll be a lot easier to put these strips into media that we will grow the actual mushrooms in. Like I'm going to do pasteurized straw and coffee grounds as a demonstration. I'm going to carry this video all the way through to produced mushrooms. So I cut the strips and put them in there, and once you seal this up, don't burp it, like I said in the previous video, because it doesn't need that much air exchange, and this is not an airtight container. Neither are the snap-on lid containers that I used in the other one. If you have an airtight container, you need to allow for some air exchange, but not much. You want high humidity and a dark environment. So I'm going to put this in my little wine cooler cabinet. So here's the wine cooler cabinet. I bought it at Goodwill for $15. The compressor doesn't work, so all that really works in this is the light. And this is where I store my various jars of media while they're incubating. I have blue oyster, mushroom, mycelium. This is on grain mixed with coffee. I also have it on wooden dowels, and king oyster on grain, which is doing remarkably well. And I've shiitake and other types of oyster and other mushrooms that I'm growing. Shiitake I'm really happy with. Last time I did shiitake on dowels, I had contamination. This time I've got a good clean start, and hopefully there won't be any contamination, and I'll have shiitake myceliated dowels to put in logs soon. So yeah, this is where I do the incubation. Any dark place where the temperature stays relatively uniform is a good place for you to do the incubation. So once you've trimmed off the bits for running the mycelium, you take what's left of the mushroom and you fry it up.